Welcome. The construction industry, as we know it, is standing right at a major turning point. In this explainer, we're going to dive deep and unlock the innovation blueprint from Chapter 4 of the book Construction 4.0. Think of it as a guide for building the future, not just getting stuck in the past. You know, this quote from Thomas Friedman really just nails it, doesn't it? For any leader in construction today, it's just not enough to rely on the way things have always been done. The real challenge, the real question, is to wake up and ask, what world are we building in today? And then be ready for the answer. So, here's our game plan for this journey. We'll kick things off with the core problem. Then we'll look at a roadmap for real change. After that, we'll dissect the 4 big forces driving this whole transformation. And finally, we'll talk about the human side of it and what this all means for the future of construction. All right, let's jump right into the big challenge. The construction industry is, well, it's a massive cornerstone of our global economy, but it's facing a serious crossroads, and it's being held back by some really deep-rooted problems. For years, the industry's had this reputation, it's seen as fragmented. You've got all these different stakeholders all working in their own little bubbles, using separate systems and hoarding their own data. That kind of fragmentation makes it incredibly tough to innovate and bring in new tech that could really boost productivity. And here's what that looks like in the real world. This diagram, it tells the whole story. You can see how this whole web of interconnected issues, everything from port planning to just ineffective management, it all funnels down into one giant, expensive problem: rework. It's a perfect picture of the inefficiency that just plagues the industry. Okay, so admitting there's a problem is step 1. But what's the solution? Well, this next part introduces a strategic blueprint for actually navigating the shift to what we're calling Construction 4.0. This, right here, is the core idea from the chapter, the 4 dimensions of influence. Now, this isn't just some checklist of good ideas. It's a full-on guide that shows how technology, market forces, company culture, and core principles all have to work together in harmony for this transformation to actually succeed. Now let's break this down piece by piece and dive into each of those 4 driving forces. Getting a handle on these is absolutely essential for any leader who wants to navigate what's coming next in construction. First up, technology. The big takeaway here isn't just about buying the latest, shiniest software or drone. It's about a really deliberate process. You gotta assess what you already have and then carefully, and I mean carefully, select and integrate new systems that can actually talk to each other. The end goal, the whole point, is to have this connected system that gives you real-time dashboards and alerts you can actually use. Next up, market forces. We are seeing a huge shift here. Clients, the owners, they're not just asking for a finished building anymore. They want proof of performance, and they want it backed by hard data and analytics. The market itself is pushing the entire industry toward a future that is way more predictable and way more data-driven. The third force is culture, and honestly, this might be the most important one of all. I mean, you can have the best technology on the planet, but if your company culture doesn't value data, doesn't value collaboration and learning, it's all gonna fall flat. This is about creating an environment where people feel encouraged to innovate, and where knowledge actually flows freely instead of getting trapped in silos. And finally, we have principles. You can think of these as the bedrock, the foundation for the entire transformation. Without trust, without openness, and without everyone sharing a focus on delivering real value, the kind of collaboration you need for Construction 4.0 is just, well, it's impossible. A truly agile company is always built on a strong ethical and collaborative foundation. So how does a company actually bring all these forces together? Well, it's not like flipping a switch overnight. The book lays this out as a journey, and it's broken down into 3 pretty distinct phases of maturity. This slide really maps out the journey perfectly. A company starts with its day-to-day business. I mean, you have to keep the lights on and keep profits coming in, right? Those profits then become the fuel for the on-the-horizon stuff. That's where you pilot new technologies, you experiment, and you get some early wins. Success there is what propels you to over the horizon, which is the ultimate goal: a truly agile, data-driven organization that's hitting analytical excellence and finding totally new ways to grow. So we've talked about tech, markets, processes, but none of that works without people. This next section is all about the human side of this transformation, the critical shifts in mindset that really make innovation possible. This right here is one of the most powerful ideas in the whole chapter. For centuries, business value came from what you'd call stocks of knowledge, basically hoarding your company's secrets. But in a world that changes as fast as ours, that old knowledge gets outdated. and it gets outdated quickly. The new way of thinking is all about knowledge flow. Values created now by participating, by sharing, and by learning from a constant flow of information across your entire network. And let's be real for a second. This kind of change is hard. It creates friction, it creates uncertainty, and yeah, it even creates emotional stress for your employees. And that's where real leadership comes in. It takes a ton of courage to guide a team through this, to manage that tension, and to create an environment where it's safe to experiment and adapt. So, after all that, what does the future of construction actually look like when all these pieces finally come together? What is the ultimate payoff for embracing this new reality? This diagram basically brings it all together. It's the whole shebang. Over on the left, you've got the global drivers of change, the technology, the market forces, the culture, and principles we've been talking about. Then in the middle, you see the innovation environment and the internal challenges a company has to overcome. And finally, on the right, you get the powerful outcomes of a successful transformation. This is the entire ecosystem of Construction 4.0. And here are those outcomes, spelled out. This is the payoff. We're talking about projects that are faster, safer, and way more predictable. We're talking about more transparency for clients and more attractive, tech-forward careers that are going to bring amazing new talent into this industry. But ultimately, it's about creating a vibrant, agile culture that is built to thrive in the 21st century. So, we'll leave you with this one question to think about. In a world that's changing this fast, is your business building for today, or is it building for the horizon? The answer to that question is what will define the future of the entire construction industry. Thanks for joining us for this explainer.